Hi everybody. In this lesson, I will talk about how to send a fetch request using fetch through the server from your React Native code. And firstly, we send a set request here, and I will receive a response from your server. Use JSON format, and when you send a request to server, the JSON format will be a type of object as name, image URL, food description, etc., and many other field of data. And here, when you pull to refresh, the process will be called again. Okay, firstly, you can download code in the previous lesson video about flat list to here. So in some previous lesson, I will have just show you, and recently the data is fixed, and I will change the data here by the data from the API, and you can learn how to make this get API in my videos in NodeJs ES6 playlist. So you can open the API and copy the link from the image, copy the link to the image and paste to the browser, send to the browser, press enter, paste and go, and here is the image. Okay, so firstly I create a new photo in the project. So the photo here will be networking. Networking, and I will put on the file the JavaScript file that contains sending and receiving data from server to here, and name, give it a name server.js. Yes, so we have a server.js for JavaScript. So inside this file I will use the fetch function. The fetch function is a global function. So inside this we can have a get, put, delete, put, request to server. So firstly I import some of the library, and I define a function. But firstly we have a constant of HTTP link or HTTPS link to the get request. So it is a get request, and here is an asynchronous function to send and receive data. And what is async or await? So I will show you a function to here. So we have some line of code. Firstly, we have 3 line, 4 line of code, and firstly the code will run in one async function, and here the function 1 is running. So after function 1 is finished, 3 is called, and now the async function is finished. So the 4 here is come back to async function, and now the function 2 is finished. So the next line will be 5. Okay, so the async function here means that you can call it and do some other tasks, then come back to the async function after the async function is finished. So here we have a response. It means that the response object will wait for this line finish. It wait until this line finish. So after this line finish, we have the response for the response object. So here is a synchronous function. So we have the response JSON. I call the JSON function, and the JSON function here is await. Await mean it the response JSON will wait until it has the result, and then it returns the data here. So what is the data field? The data field here, you see that the data here is an array. This is an array of food you get from the API. So you dot data, it been the array of food. In case it has error, it will console to error logged to show out the logged, and you have to make this public or export this function so other file can use it. So you paste this function name to here. So inside another file you can use this function by importing this function here from this file. Import from parent folder networking server. So we have the get food from server function. So you can call this function here, but firstly inside the state you have to set a property, and the array here is a state. So the state here is an array of object, and after the state is changed, the render function is called and re-render the use interface. So the component did mount is a function is called when after rendering, and you can call it to get food from server. Here you can call this function to here by typing get food from server here, and after finishing you can use then is a promise. So inside then we have the result from the previous function. I have the food object here. So inside the then I can process the food, and inside this block or inside this function I can process the food by setting the food to the food from server array. So after that the these three function has been called and re-render the user interface. In case it has an error, I will catch the error here. So the error inside this is a function that will set the array to a blank array or an empty array. So it is here an empty array, and it will refresh the flat list. So I change this fix the data here by the dynamic data is by this dot state dot food from server. Yes, food from server is an array inside the state, and you have to add the http// before this string to make this available by calling the http protocol. And now you can set this command, yes, using this command for stability, and you can call this function refresh from the function did mount after the render, after the user interface is mount, and you can open the info.plist in iOS application and allow every HTTP server here by setting the transport security to your application. So you can call the server in your local. Yes. So here, okay. The data is okay now. Yes, it is okay. But another problem is that the virtualist has not the key or missing key. So you can use the key extractor to automatically render the key. Using the key extractor property is now it is a name. The name property will be the key extractor or will be the key. So make name as key. You can reload the function. Okay. So you can see the data is okay now. And so when you pull down the flat list, you want to add a pull to refresh to here, it will show a loading here, a loading progress. So you can use a library or a component named refresh control. So you have to set the refresh control of some property. So firstly we have refreshing. Yes, refreshing means that it do not show loading, and if it is true it will show loading progress. So after before calling the function, it will show the loading activity or loading progress, and after finishing loading data from server, it will show refresh. So it will stop to show the loading here. So then you can add the property of refresh control. So the refresh control is an JSX point to the refresh control component, and you have to set some other property for refresh control. And yeah, this is a refresh control. So on refresh is equal to this function. So where is this function? So now I define this function. So inside this function, I will call the function to get data from server. So on refresh is equal to an arrow function. So inside the arrow function, I call the refresh data from server function. Yes. And you can add here reload. Yes. Okay. When I pull to refresh, it will call on refresh here. When you pull down, it will call the on refresh function. Okay, thank you for watching this lesson. This lesson is end now. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more exciting videos or download code from GitHub. Thank you.